Now this is the part I like to call it show and tell in your case than just picture association, because we've got many items here from your world, shall I say. So I want to start off with those. We'll just point to them. This is a DVD, and talk to that for a moment, that project.
Well, you know, again, this was a Shelly thing, showing her own leadership. I've been very fortunate to be able to choose and become associated with really great people. And so, of course, that makes life a lot easier when you're working with people who are just amazing yourself. And so I was being asked to do an interview that was for a quilt, program about what I've done with quilts. But basically they said to me, Shelly, you can't tell that story. You are connected to quilts in so many ways, as a curator, as an author, as a dealer, as a writer, as a speaker, you name it, okay? You need to do something different. Why don't we think about the idea of you doing your own story, and the subject matter should be wrestling with the issues that you have come to grips with having to do with quilts. Appraisal. What is art? Empowering women. All of these issues, and those became the genesis of the documentary. I had never done anything. It's a great documentary. I'd never done anything. I never did a documentary in my life. But it was a matter of just finding a team outside the box, which took a long time.
I know that feeling.
And you know that feeling. And then working, who was going to help with the writing. I had a project with Phyllis George, Living with Quilts, with the writer. She was fabulous, and she was a material culture grad from Penn. And I reached back to her. I reached back to Ann Berman and said, I'm doing this project. Will you help me? And so we have a 9-part documentary that has been on more than 250 PBS stations, select PBS stations, through one of the PBS distribution agencies. And it's now streaming on KET. And it's called, Why Quilts Matter, History, Art, and Politics.
Now the book next to it?
The book next to it I did for a Japanese publisher. I have curated exhibits in Japan probably over a 12-year period 6 times. There is an international quilt festival that is sponsored by Japanese public television, and I've been a part of those, actually curating antique quilt exhibits as well as lecturing, etc. But for this project, I had met a Japanese owner of a company that was actually the beginning of the Japanese effort, the Japanese explosion of quilt interest in Japan. And they had asked me to do something on American quilt collections. And so that's what this book is. It's both private and public collections.
That's great.
And there are over 1 million people quilting in Japan. And most of it started right about the time of the bicentennial.
That's interesting. Just human observation, it seems like the level of solid confinement, if you will, of doing that one-on-one or however you do it.
Well, this is a real business. In Japan you have the master crafts. And so it became part of that system where you had the teachers and the students, and they paid, and they paid to fly here to come to Paducah, or to go to Houston. So it was more part of an existing system that this fit right into.